All right, welcome back for another movie review. I'm Brandon Reines.
And I am Faizel Moment. And what are we discussing today, Brandon?
We are discussing. Hopefully, I watched the right movie, but we're doing we're doing Hellraiser,
Hell
classic
yeah.
horror.
I was gonna make some sort of joke about like the 2022 version or something, and like I don't know. So whoever's listening, just fill in your own bit. I made a funny joke.
Yeah, no,
No, we're
we're
watching.
doing the. I haven't even seen the 2022, like the new one. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll add that to the list. Maybe we can review that. But we're talking about the 1987 Clive Barker classic. And if I understand correctly, whatever movie he that was made from one of his books before Hellraiser, I guess in his mind they ruined it. So he was like,
Yep,
"Fuck that! Like, if you're gonna make another movie, I'm gonna direct it."
I'm
So
gonna
he
be
made
it.
this himself. And have you ever read the book, the Hellbound Heart? It's called.
Yes. Yes. So I was going to ask you what your first introduction to Hellraiser was in the Hellbound book, because I watched this movie when I was a teenager. I watched this movie when I was 14, I think. And then like I did when I was 14 with everything, I looked at the background up on Wikipedia, and that's how I came across the Hellbound Heart. And I started reading the Hellbound Heart, and that's like I spent this whole time like that book started me on this whole like reading. I've read a bunch of Anne Rice after that. I just read everything that was in that weird sadomasochistic like horror genre.
Nice. Yeah, I was probably a teenager too when I first saw the movie. I didn't even know it was based on a book till years later. I didn't even read the book till about 2 years ago. And I actually read it twice since then because it's really, really good. And it's short. Like I imagine it being bigger.
It's
It's
it's a
very short.
novella, yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very similar to the movie, other than a few kind of minor things, but it's very, very close. He adapted his novel
Very
almost
well.
verbatim. I guess I should just add, like, what are your thoughts of the movie specifically? Like, thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of.
Well, I mean, okay, so specifically Hellraiser 1, I don't know if I can give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. That's a more complicated answer for me because I like the movie, I like the vibe, I like the cenobites. It's a very horny movie. Sometimes it gets in its own way because of how horny it is. Like sometimes I'm just like I'm trying to remember where I was just like we're like what's her name? Claire Higgins who plays Barbara? Chris, wait. Julia, the girl who
Julia.
plays Julia. Just sometimes when she's throwing herself at the brother and stuff, I'm just like, okay, calm down.
She is an evil, evil person, which is actually funny. Because in the book, they describe her like she's kind of like young blonde model type, like she's like a trophy wife, super hot.
Claire
Where
Higgins is not that.
yeah, but she's so evil looking. Like she's just like she fits. That's like such a good job. I think the movie would have suffered if they had have hired some like Hollywood blonde bombshell kind of thing. I think just the
Because she
fact
has
that
so much
like
range. You can see it in her eyes. She's like
yeah, she's just
captivating.
like scary looking person, which fits that part to the T. And yeah, she's a horrible, horrible person. Which is funny because I didn't even realize till this when I was watching it a few days ago to do this review um, that the guy that plays the husband, like he's like the friendly, nice guy, kind of timid husband.
Mhm.
He's the bad guy from the first Dirty Harry movie where he plays like the psycho.
Yes, he was. He's also, I've never seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine, but I did note down that he's Elim Garak from Deep
Yeah,
Space
I
Nine.
know some Star Trek people always point out that I don't know, I'm not familiar with that show, but I just find it great that he goes from playing like stone cold murderous psycho to playing, timid
Like,
beta
oh, I'm
husband.
so like, yeah. I love you, wife and daughter.
And just to be like he's just that kind of naive that he just doesn't see his wife's true nature. Like anyone else could just look her in the eye and be like, stay the fuck away from her.
Something's
Um,
going on here.
But yeah, I think the movie is great. Like honestly, that like what you pointed out there, it never really I can kind of see it now that you mention it, but it's never really stood out as a
Oh, and I
problem
think
for
it
me.
part of its horniness is its charm. Like it is like a BDSM novel, and like the
Yeah.
Cenobites are all so like it. I without it, I don't think it would be the same movie. So that's just like a nitpick. if I was to nitpick. But other than that, like I think it's very good. We'll talk about the sequel in the next thing. I like the sequel a lot more for very specific reasons. Um, but what did you think of the special effects in the film?
Oh, they were like freaking amazing. Like like especially when Frank's reanimating himself.
That's the big one. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
like
The
it's like that
dragon
was
is
so good.
okay. The dragon thing at the end was it was all right, but like I was really blown away by how he like was building himself up and then like from a puddle and then it just like grew out of there.
Yeah,
It was wild.
it reminds me a lot of like The Fly, like the 1980s The Fly, where they just have the goopy, really awesome looking
It's
practical
just all
effects. Like,
dripping and disgusting and visceral.
yeah, like I don't even know how that like I couldn't even begin. If I was hired to recreate that, I would have no
That must have
clue where to
been
begin.
weeks of stop motion. I bet you that must have been like months of like we're like just slowly putting piece by piece by piece by
Yeah.
piece and like just moving it through. But like, oh man, and then she starts bringing people to the house. So I guess should we run through the plot just loosely here?
Yeah, like I find it's kind of like that's the thing about like the second one, it gets way more into the cenobites and the hell world. Where the first one, it's like that the whole
It's
Hellraiser stuff is kind of like bookends it, but the main
yes,
story is just about
this
the
evil, evil
brother who,
woman.
yeah, and like in the book they kind of explain it a bit more that his like soul or whatever, Frank's soul escaped the Cenobite world and he was hiding in the real world. And then when his brother drips a drop of blood, that's enough for him to start like recreating himself.
So his
Because
brother was in the thing first. Did you ever end up looking up the extended lore on the lament configuration, which is the little box that he has in the
no,
beginning?
I don't know any more than what's in the book and the movies.
It's it has like its own whole lore. It has a whole Wikipedia page. I spent a lot of time on the Wikipedia page of
I will
Hellraiser
be
when I
looking
was a
that up
kid.
after.
But yeah, so it starts with him and he's looking for this lament configuration. I also normally, I'm not a big fan of like when a movie just kind of sets you up and then like goes into the plot and then like hooks you, leaves you with this hook that then like, but this pays it off so well and it does it so well that I have no problem with this, where it like starts with him and he's like fiddling with the lament configuration and then like he gets all dragged into it and then you don't know what happens after and you're just like into this like normal happy family time. And then you find out that yeah, Frank's soul escaped the Cenobite realm, and he like managed to make it out into the world, and a little bit of blood like starts to reanimate him, and then leads to the coolest reanimation sequence of all time, personally.
Yeah,
And then she
and of
makes
course,
out with him.
yeah, I find it hard to believe that she would still find him in any way attractive. And I find it even dumber that he would try putting on a suit and clothes when he looks like it. It's like
I
wait
know it
until you got some
was
skin before you start messing up your clothes. But
it was
um
so, but it must have. I wonder if they just thought it looked cool because it was kind of funny. They puts on like a white suit too, of all things, and it
yeah,
just
it's got
immediately
like
starts
bloody prints
soaking
on it.
through.
But yeah, so Julia, the woman that Frank was having an affair with, he convinces her, "Hey, I need more people, more skin and blood and stuff to fully turn myself human." So she starts luring men back to the house, killing them, then like leaving their bodies there for him to rip apart and rebuild himself. So it's a very gruesome story. I mean, sometimes you watch enough horror movies, you kind of forget how horrific some of that stuff is, but it is
Well, and
like
it doesn't use
brutal.
that much gore either. Like besides the big reanimation scene, I don't think like there's like viscera or anything like that. Like
Yeah,
usually
they probably had to be careful with their budget. They probably spent most of it on that one
on the
part,
reanimation scene.
which is
Well,
funny
what was the
because at
budget
the
on that?
end, remember when like the very end of the movie where Kirsty has the box and she's basically sending the Cenobites back to hell. All of a sudden, we get back into very cheap Atari type special effects.
With the dragon, right?
No, but even just when she'll like shoot a laser beam or
Oh
whatever it
yeah,
is, and
yeah,
then they're like,
yeah,
and it'll be like that orange outline, it'll disappear, which is fine. Honestly, that doesn't bother me. It reminds me of like Children of the Corn when it's just like really bad like video effects. But I
but
don't know. There's
it
a
was the
charm to it. Like it's I don't think consider that a criticism of it. Like that's what they could do
no,
at
it's
the time,
probably
and it
the
still looked
apex
cool.
of the time. Yeah.
But Yeah, the dragon at the end, that was weird because that was not in the book. Like that was
No.
the book, the ending of the book was different. That weird homeless guy that turns into the dragon thing, that was
That
completely made up for the movie.
threw me for a loop when it first happened because I was like, wait, what? And then obviously I had to then go find the second one and watch the second one. And I was like, this will explain the dragon. Spoilers, it did not.
Yeah, it's still, I guess, I don't know, unless maybe one of the comic books or something else explains it.
Something must have explained it.
But it could be like it just doesn't need explaining. It's just some kind of,
I mean, it's
scary
a
thing that
creature
you
from
never you
hell.
won't understand. Yeah. Um, I found like there was the movie, I think it's fast paced. It's like the second one gets way more complex where you're like, what the fuck is going on? But the first one, it's like it's a simpler story. It's just told well. It's fast paced. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it.
And
Um,
then the cenobites pay off so well. Like I like that they hold off on the cenobites till the very end, and they introduce Pinhead, who was named by the franchise, who wasn't named in the thing. He was named by the fans, but like Pinhead comes in and like he gives you just enough. He gives you just enough of these weird characters that you're like, I want to know more.
yeah, like and actually apparently Clive Barker doesn't like the name Pinhead. He's supposed to be called like was it like a head priest or something like that?
Lead Cenobite or
Lead
like,
Sen yeah, or Hell Priest or something, but it's like sorry, Clive, his name's Pinhead. Like it's there's
yeah.
it's like yeah, he was named by the fans, but it's not yeah, that's has got to be his name. But yeah, I like that because I know in later like later ones they use him less because we'll talk about that later. But like in part four, Bloodlines, apparently the studio's like more Pinhead, more Pinhead. So he's just in
Was
it a lot
that was
more.
in
Where
that was in like the one in space, right? Hellraiser
yeah,
in space. God, I love that movie. Which one's your favorite Cenobite?
I I'd have to go Pinhead. Like he's just
Pinhead?
obviously he's got kind of he just looks cool. I
I
like the
always thought
female
the
one
girl
too.
with like the neck,
Yeah,
she, like she looks pretty cool.
yeah, I she'd be my second favorite probably. But I like it like in the I haven't watched like the crappier later ones as much. I'm not as familiar with them, but people I've heard on the internet complaining that they kind of turned them into like more biblical like they're actual demons from hell, like in a biblical sense. Whereas in the earlier ones they weren't. They were like some other. It wasn't hell like God and
No,
Satan. It was some other
it's something
sadomasochistic
else
world. Yeah, which I like better than they're just like
than
demons.
like
Like
just black and white, good and evil kind of thing. Like it's
yeah.
it's always nice when they try to do like something different.
One thing they did change from the book in the movie, Kirsty is like she's like the it's her dad is married to Julia, whereas in the book they're not related. She's just kind of like a family friend, and she's kind
Right.
of like just she hangs around the family and has known them for years. Whereas in the movie they changed it to that it's her dad, which like I don't think it's any better or worse. It's just
Yeah.
decision he
It's
made.
one way or another. Yeah, I wonder why that decision was made. It's always interesting to figure out, like maybe some studio exec was like, no, no, it works better if it's like a mother, father, daughter.
Yeah, or maybe it was like this is like a grown man, and then this teenage girl is hanging around him all the time. Like it's like when you think about it, like it might raise some questions, and all of a sudden the guy doesn't look so like such a nice guy that
In the
yeah,
middle of this like sadomasochist, yeah, they probably were like, you're already crossing the line a bunch of
yeah,
times. Let's not cross this line. 14.6 million at the box office off a $1 million budget.
yeah. I guess that's why they made more. I would like to see like the profit of each one. I wonder if it's just like a
It
steady
just goes down.
decline.
Do you have a particular favorite out of all of them?
It does change from week to week. I've always like, especially when I was younger, it was always part three because that it just had like
Same.
yeah, it just had like that scene in the bar is probably one of my favorite like horror scenes ever, and it just had the Cenobites walking around the city, and there was new Cenobites, and but it was kind of like a dumber movie, like it was like the
It was
Hollywood
kind of
version.
like A, B, C, D kind of movie, whereas like the first and the second one were way more complex than that.
Yeah, like the first two, like they were just yeah, they're kind of superior movies, I think. And even just like I've watched part one and two just in the last week to do these reviews, and it's hard to pick. I kind of like them evenly. Part two's just got a lot more cooler stuff.
It's got a better, my favorite representation of hell. in all movies that I've ever seen, I
Yeah.
think part two has my favorite representation of hell.
Well, we'll get into more of that when we do our review of it.
We will, but for
But
part
yeah,
one, I say is it a 9 out of 10 for you?
I would I would say 7.5.
7.5? I think I'd go there. I think I'd say it's like a very strong six. I'd give it a light seven.
Yeah. That sounds about reasonable. Like it's very good. Like I mean, I'd say like it blows the water out of like a lot of modern horror.
It
Like
has
it's
some small flaws, some small, tiny flaws.
and there's just things about it that like I don't want to rip into it too much because it's very well done,
It's
but
so, yeah.
there's some just like kind of like questionable acting, questionable dialogue at parts that you got to just kind of live with. Um,
You brought up a good point. I really like that. It's just so well done that like any to criticize it is to kind of nitpick because it's just so like,
yeah,
oh well, they didn't do this perfectly. But it doesn't make it all the way to the 10 out of 10. Like there's just some things that hold it back stylistically, ideologically.
and it
Do you
does
think
have it has a very 80s vibe to it. Like it's just like obviously that's when it was made, but there's just something there's some 80s movies that don't they're a little bit more timeless where this one is it's kind of I can't really put my finger on maybe it's like their hairstyles and but there's a certain things about it like little things that just really date it, which is not a criticism like it kind
I
of makes
don't
you
think well, they probably didn't think when they were making it that it was gonna have this transcending life. They probably were like, we're gonna make a quick cheap horror movie that's gonna like come out, and then we're gonna like Clive Barker is just gonna keep making. He probably was like, and then I have these other stories that I'm gonna adapt because Clive Barker then ended up adapting quite a few of his stories into
hmm?
films. But like, yeah, they probably didn't expect it to be as big as it probably was.
Yeah, and then it's you kind of force him to expand.
Yes.
He was also not expecting Pinhead because he wasn't even he wasn't named like you said. He was just one of the Cenobites. But just
Yep.
his look, all of a sudden he became the face on the poster of every movie, and he became the main thing. And that's why everyone like, what's Hellraiser? Hellraiser's not the woman luring the guys back to kill them. No, Hellraiser is Pinhead. That's like he's like the Freddy or
That's the
Jason.
whole
Where actually originally he was a small part of the story, but it's like there's just something about him that naturally drew people's attention, and he just kind of, I guess, him and the studios just kind of went with it, and it's like, hey, let's kind of use what's popular.
That's funny. I was just digging through to see if I could spot a trend. I couldn't, but you know the first three Hellraisers are all 93 minutes?
Weird. What if that
Yeah.
was a
I wonder if they did
coincidence?
that intentionally or not.
I would guess that it's just a fluke, but who knows? Maybe it has some hidden meaning to it,
I mean, Clive Barker's a freaky dude. I imagine it would have some strange meaning
or
behind it.
maybe that was like some sort of studio mandate where they're like, it's got to be exactly 90 minutes, no more.
93 minutes, or
And then
we're
he's
not
like,
releasing it.
but then he's like, including the credits, and then they're like, nah, okay, 3 minutes of credits, so
93.
93 total. And then he just wanted to use like every single minute possible. Pure speculation, of course, but um
Oh, we should at the end of the Hellraiser series, we should then look into Nightbreed, which was his other like
yeah, I freaking love Night. And one thing I
uh,
like about it is that it takes place in Alberta, and they mention Calgary, they mention Edmonton, like it takes place in where we live.
does it
So
really? I forget that.
yeah, they're like they talk about Edmonton, they talk about Calgary, and like other little towns that like where we know of. So
Well, David
um
Cronenberg has a cameo in it, right? I think.
yeah, I think did he direct it or did Clive Barker direct it himself?
Clive Barker directed it
Okay, yeah,
after Hellraiser 2, I think. Like after Hellraiser 2 came out, he directed that. That was his like I think he's only ever directed. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now, but he's only ever directed three films. He's directed Hellraiser, Nightbreed, and Lord of Illusions,
oh
which
yeah.
I never saw.
I saw that when it came out when I was a teenager. I'd say up to Hellraiser 4, we can do reviews of each one. After that, we might just have to do like
A
all of
super
them in
cut of
one.
all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched Deader the other day because I hadn't seen that since it came out.
Is that
And
eight or something?
yeah, I think it's the eighth one. I really don't want to have to sit through some of those again. Um,
Okay, well, we'll
but
have to
we'll
check out the
see.
new one.
we'll see. But yeah, the new one, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that because I haven't seen it yet, so I'll be going in completely fresh on that. But I guess we'll just kind of see. There's a limit to how much I want to sacrifice for this YouTube channel, and having to sit through really bad movies for a second or third time. So we'll see how we're feeling, but
Maybe we'll do a live watch of that. Maybe we'll figure this out,
I might
folks.
be
Maybe
down
we'll
for
do some
that.
streaming.
It's kind of a new world to me. I like making things and editing out all the stuff that I don't want to that I regret saying. So streaming will be a new experience for me.
Completely unfiltered.
Yeah, so you give it say soft 7, I give it 7.5 for Hellraiser. And if anyone watching this is interested in has a particular movie they want to see us do a review discussion of, let
Comment
us know.
it.
Comment it, and we just might do it.
We might, or we might not. But
We
either
might
way,
not.
you should comment it.
All right, so for our next video, we'll be reviewing Hellraiser 2. So come back for that. And until then, we'll see everyone later.
See ya, folks.